Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Slimefun with Boomer. Today we are on SkyGrid. For those of you who play on the Fnatic MC server, you're probably already aware there has been a major update to Slimefun. Apparently the devs have been listening, and a number of problems that have been chronic for a long time have been fixed. We're not going to cover too much of that. Needless to say, those of you who play on a server on a regular basis have pretty much already heard through chat. But we will do an official, as best as we're able to ascertain what has actually changed, what has been updated, if anything has been removed. We're going to try to do another episode on that. Someone on our survival server went through and has been trying to help put that list together. And we've noticed a few things simply just from playing. We had to unlock a few new things in the guide. And then one of those new ones that we're going to feature in today's episode is the Tree Growth Accelerator. That's something that we're going to actually put together, build, walk you through the whole process, and then see if we can determine if it, one, works, two, how effective is it, and then three, is it cost effective? If it's anything like the Crop Growth Accelerator, I've actually abandoned the Crop Growth Accelerator simply because of the sheer amount of material it took to get it to produce, and it simply caused 3 plants at a time to grow faster. Given the amount of resources it took to create the food, to create the cans, to create the canning process, and to get it over there and do it with a farm of 120 some odd plants, it really wasn't much of a benefit. The amount of resources you had to put into it to get the crops out of it, it really ultimately, using vanilla composters, gave me roughly 60 or 70 more bone meal an hour. I mean, it really was not worth the effort. But we're going to try the tree. We're going to give it an honest run. We're going to see if it makes any difference. So let's kind of look at it here. Here's the crafting recipe. On my pricing scale from 1 to 5, I'm going to give it a 6 because we do have a carbonado right at the top. We have 2 motors. We have a big energy capacitor, a diamond axe. This is one of the few recipes that have a diamond axe. And get this, guys, we finally have a decent use for magnesium salt. Yeah, we got to do 2 of them. And to create it, we simply can take 2 sand onto a, to make these 2 sand onto, where did I go here? Ore washer, a manual ore washer. Now, there's no need to really try to automate this and set up a manual thing. Simply because, I mean, yes, you kind of could automate it with a right click being held down forever, but you only need 2. So for those of you thinking, ooh, I'm going to quickly do this in mass quantities, it took me 0.5 seconds. So to get enough for this, I actually did 16 just because that's what I grabbed, half a stack of sand. So it's not worth trying to automate. It's not a need. But we are going to put this baby together real quick. So give me a few seconds. I'm going to craft it. And then we'll talk about the remaining parts that are necessary in order to get this to go. And we'll start to make it. We'll see you in just a bit. All right, guys. So we've got this sucker crafted. We've got our Tree Growth Accelerator. But there had to be more to this, right? It couldn't be just this simple. Well, you first look. Let's talk about the machine. Then we'll talk about what it runs on and how to put it together. This is considered an endgame machine. Well, it's the only one of its kind, so whether you do it at the beginning or the end, it's an endgame because there's a carbonado in it. You look at the radius, 9 by 9. So this thing has a decent range. I was hoping for, you know, when you say radius 9 by 9, so are you saying 9 to the left, to the right, forward, and backward? Or are you saying you plunk this sucker down in the middle and it goes 9 by 9 squared, centered on the accelerator? So that's what we're going to have to find out, just how far away. We'll be able to figure that out real quick. My tree farms are a little bit bigger than 5 by 5, you know, so 9 by 9 they're a little bit bigger than that. So we'll be able to test that theory depending on how the Tree Growth Accelerator runs. If it runs anything like the Food Growth Accelerator, it went to, I believe it was the southwest corner of its area that it was going to work in and worked backwards logically, just like the minions do. It's very similar. It doesn't affect all the crops at once. it started in one corner and continued, but with minions, the accelerator never got off the first 3 crops because the minions harvested it, it replanted it, grew it, and you know, the accelerator grew them. I can't speak tonight. Minions would harvest and replant right away. Accelerator would start over in the same 3, so it never got beyond 3. So it kept it going, but for the most part, like I said, with as many plants as I had, there's not a reason for it. So we'll confirm what the radius truly is. Now, speed is pretty good. It's a 4 times speed. When you look at the food composter and the food fabricator that go into it, they're kind of slow. We'll also compare that to the food growth accelerator. It does require a fair amount of energy, 48 joules per second, so that throws away 1 coal generator, it throws away a magnesium generator, throws away a lava generator, throws away the first 2 solar panels. You got to go with at least a carbonado solar panel to get enough power to run this, or tie it into a bigger system that you've got with a decent sized capacitor. Probably a big capacitor should be enough. If I remember right, yeah, a big energy capacitor should be more than enough to keep it going if it's already part of a system. However, if it's independent, you're going to need, like I said, probably a carbonado solar generator to be able to run it, or a smaller generator with a bigger capacitor to handle being out at nighttime. So in building this, it says it runs on organic fertilizer. So let's go back and let's do a search on organic fertilizer. We have 9 different types of organic fertilizer. Now, unfortunately, with this update, the guide is bugged a little bit. So for example, if I click on this one, it says seeds, right? So we have organic fertilizer of seeds. Here we have organic food of seeds. When you click on it, you know what it gives you? Instead of seeds, it says dried kelp. So they've got a couple of linking issues in our database, because now you look, that's the organic kelp can. So there are some issues still within the guide. So devs, if by some chance you see this, please go back and correct this. Nearly every organic fertilizer is bugged in the same way. So we know instead of putting kelp in there, we simply put seeds. So to get a tin can, you need 8 tin ingots, which come from, you know, tin dust. So we get 8 tin dust, makes 8 tin ingots, gives us 4 tin cans. So 4 seeds, 4 tin cans would yield 4 dried kelp running through the food fabricator. Once we have it fabricated into the can, then we take those seeds, run it through the food composter, gives us the organic fertilizer. So you can see this is going to be time and material kind of expensive. Not expensive as a one-time build, but to maintain it. Okay, so you figure we need 8 tin to give us 4 can. Now the question is, how long will it run off of 1 can? You know, how much of an area, how time-wise will 1 can actually run? And that's what we're going to have to try to figure out. Because if I end up burning through a stack of tin cans to get me an extra 10 logs, it doesn't really seem worth it. So we'll have to go back and see. So we will go to my area. I'll take a bunch of tin with me. We'll get it in tin ingots, save a little bit of time, and we'll craft it all together. We'll take it to the tree farm. We'll see you back here in just a minute. All right, guys, so we've set up a test. We've just planted down 20 saplings in all 4 directions, 5 on each side, from 5 to 9 blocks away. We've got our power source that'll run. We're going to stick a stack of organic fertilizer in here. Now, the guide says this thing will do 4 trees at a time. So we're going to try to see and figure out which way it starts, where it goes, and just how far away it does. So here we go. So we've planted it in, we've got power, and nothing is growing. But it's consuming. Look how fast it's consuming. Wow. And now it's stopped consuming. What is going on? Nothing has grown. It's consumed 18 of them, and not a single tree has grown. Well, that doesn't seem to affect anything. Okay, we have one tree that's grown. Two. That was pretty quick. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's plant a few just a little bit closer. And let's see here. We're probably almost out by now. We're on 41. And that's the problem, is I was expecting to see it a little bit faster. I can't necessarily tell if any of that was vanilla outside of 5 blocks. So I think it's working at the moment, but like I said, we've only had 4 trees grow. 5, 6, 7. See, if that would have kept going, that might have gotten me believing that this thing's working really good. So we're still at 41. I'm wondering if it takes that energy and then sends it to a sapling and applies it. But 4 at a time, I would assume it would have been just like placing bone meal. Now, I will be honest, this tree did grow pretty quick. In comparison to normal vanilla, it did grow kind of quick. I'm thinking, I could be wrong, that because of where the saplings are, they're unable to grow any further. But that's a vanilla mechanic. They can grow right next to each other. There we go. We're still at 41 left. So I don't know if it keeps trying to go until it gets, you know, the 5 trees planted. Let's do this. Let's count how many trees so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12. So we've got, it looks to be 12 saplings have been grown. Yeah. But it's consumed 23 cans and seems to have stopped. I'm a little confused. If I were to see it pulling more here, I'm going to tell you what, let's come out and let's plant some trees out in some open areas that are still within the 9x9. We'll do 8. Okay, there you can see bone meal is being applied. We caught the visual. So there might be some limitation on the Tree Growth Accelerator based on what's above the tree. If there's open sky, clearly we have open sky. Let's go look at this. It did pull 4 more for the 4 new saplings, but you'll notice that they're still saplings. So what makes it really hard to measure right now is how much faster is this? Does it give it a certain amount of time and then try to grow? I guess I'm going to have to try to find something on their wiki. So you can see I planted 5 more saplings. 5 more saplings got that bone meal kind of thing to it. It pulled out 5 more organic fertilizer. But they're not growing. Clearly those other trees did grow relatively quick in comparison to, you know, a normal vanilla tree growth. I don't see any more attempts at these 4. Tell you what, let's grab, yeah, I got an axe here. Let's clear some of this out. Use a little bit of MCMMO to our benefit and watch and see what happens here if we get any more of those twinkling bone meal effects. I don't see anything else. Let's go check out the composter, or I mean accelerator. No, it's still at 32. So it did hit it once, but that seems to be just seeing if that makes any difference, if that would cause it to kick back in. Well, I have to tell you, I'm really not impressed. If it's supposed to do 4 at a time, here, I'll tell you what, let's guarantee that the only saplings it can go after are the ones that are wide open. Nowhere near another tree. Let's get all these out of here. We'll have to wait a few minutes for MCMMO to recharge. But we've got 8 saplings that appear to not have any interference here with the sky. I want to pick some of these up because I don't have many left. Okay, one of them just did grow. Let's go look at this. So we're still at 32. Oh yeah, by the way, you can eat bananas. Oh wow, you get 3 back. That's nice. All right, so let's take these saplings down and let's replant. Now, this is the 9 range, so let's see what happens. Will we get the, okay, we do. So now we know the range. It is 9 blocks away from the Tree Growth Accelerator. However, they've all been hit. If that's the case, that first column should read 6. Yep, it does, and then 11 and 12. So it hit them once and stopped. So I think we've been able to ascertain how the Tree Growth Accelerator works. You plant the sapling down, it hits it once, and it sort of speeds up. I can't tell how fast. I'd have to run this for an extremely long period of time. Clearly, it does accelerate tree growth, but it hits it once. So it's not like if you're bone mealing a tree. So if you really wanted to take advantage of auto bone mealing, and you had the resources to set up a redstone clock with a dispenser and hit bone meal or hit saplings and have the minion farm it, that might be just as effective and maybe even more than this farm, simply because the minion's going to farm it right away, it's going to replant it, and it's going to get hit by bone meal. The downside of that is you do have to come up with a lot of bones. The downside to this is you saw what it costs to build the 2 machines that you need, which wasn't huge as an initial investment. To maintain it, however, is. And the fact that it only hits the bone once, right? It only hits the sapling once. So if I come through and I clear this out, we have not, and I'll try to clear some more of these leaves out of the way just to re-expose it to the sky. Because if I can do this and the minion harvest it, okay, well maybe that's a little bit different. So let's assume the minion harvested the tree. We saw that it was at 6. It's still at 6, which means the Tree Growth Accelerator only hits it once. The fact that these have all been hit and some of these still haven't grown, I'd have to say, in my opinion, the amount of material and resources that it would take to get the fertilizer, get the cans, can of fertilizer, compress the fertilizer, deliver it to the accelerator, all via network. You know, you'd have that just outside of your network. You'd have to have it near a dust farm. Well, not a dust farm, but you will need ore grinders and gold pans. No, I'm sorry, you're right. You would need a dust farm because we need tin. We need tin dust. So you're going to have to build a cobblestone generator of some sort. And if you've already got the whole thing put together, that's great. But you need a cobble gen. You're going to need ore grinders. You're going to need gold pans, dust washers. Then pull the tin out of the system. Bring it down. Turn it in using an ingot factory. Turn it into tin ingots. Then you need an auto crafter to turn it into tin cans. You're going to need some type of plant farm, whether it's seeds or pumpkins or melons. Yeah, melons, pumpkins, seeds, beetroot, wheat, and there's 2 or 3 others. Then you've got to run it through a canning process, a compressing process, get it in here to hit the sapling 1 time. So on a boomer scale of 1 to 10 of this being useful, I'm going to give it a 1. If you have nothing else running and you want to put it together, it might be worth it to you. To me, I don't see the advantage versus just simply planting saplings and let the minions run all by themselves. Again, it did get some trees' growth a little bit faster, but because it only hits once, you know, if it doesn't grow, it'll bring the tree to stage 1 for sure, but it's not going to get it all the way. So, Slimefun devs, it works. It works apparently the way you've intended it. But on a scale, like I said, of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it a 1 for actual practical use and purposes, at least on our server. Now, if you're doing this manually and it hits it once, it does speed things up a little bit. But again, what's the difference versus... And I'm not talking about building an auto tree farm or a wither tree farm. Most people don't go that extent. You know, if you're Ilmango, that's great. You build one that makes 42,000 wood logs an hour, and I love those kind of things. But 99% of players aren't going to build that. I might. Ilmango clearly has, and he does a phenomenal job. It's nothing to take away from Ilmango. But it's not for the actual average player who's going to play on a multiplayer server. So this process may benefit you. It may not. For me, I am not going to implement this into my system. But I wanted you to see and to make your own decisions, your own mind up. For me, I have some trees to chop down and some things to put away. But we thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I doubt there's any videos out there yet since this just came out a day or two ago. I do want to start bringing you up to speed on all the other updates, so I'm going to work through those and make sure I can show you what's changed, or at least attempt to tell you. But I want to thank you for watching. Again, if you're new, consider subscribing. In the meantime, you got to go Boomer or you got to go home. We'll see you later.